Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Wave Extra tonight, Tuesday, July 22nd. I'm Jose Sosaya. Appreciate you if you are joining us just now on the Wave Now app on your smart TV device, on all of our streaming platforms across social media. We're just breaking down some of the big stories, headlines, updates, things we're looking into, not just throughout the course of the day, things we're also going to dive a little deeper into if there are any of those new nuggets of information to share those with you tonight on Wave News at 11. We'd always love this opportunity to spend a little more time diving into some of these stories and just offering a different way that you all can get the latest information from right here on Wave News and from the Wave News team. So starting perhaps with an update to some questions about the big story from Monday night, and that had to do with the sentence involving the former police officer Brett Hankison when it had to do with this civil rights violation case of Breonna Taylor from 5 years ago. And so a question perhaps that started to surface after learning the judge had had set that sentence to 33 months, 2 years, 9 months for Hankison. What is next? What are the options or the possibilities of things that would occur as a punishment, or perhaps even something otherwise, something else that could happen? So we know right now the Hankison's attorneys are working on an appeal, and this could be a challenge to both Hankison's guilty verdict and the sentence that we learned on Monday afternoon, which garnered a lot of attention and garnered some protests from people that were outside of the federal courthouse, which certainly you saw us covering that as it was happening. There's also another option. Our reporter, David Mattingly, spent some time looking into that today. And this was in conversation with a legal scholar and a law professor about the possibility of a potential presidential pardon. Now, to go further into context on that, as we show you here some video from the afternoon as Brett Hankison was approaching the federal courthouse, and you already saw kind of a group of protesters having already met in the corner outside. But just as a recap, based on what we learned as evidence in this particular trial, that Hankison did not shoot Breonna Taylor, but we know a jury last November convicted him of violating her rights when he fired into her apartment the night she was killed. So it's been a difference of approach or recommendation depending on the current administration of the White House. The Biden Justice Department had convicted him, had argued for a different set of parameters for sentencing. The Trump Justice Department argued against anything beyond just that one-day prison sentence, and that was the case made starting this week. But even though that was unsuccessful, they also apparently questioned in the courtroom why Hankison was ever charged and prosecuted. And so we'd heard attorneys, family members, protesters, those in support of justice, they say, for Breonna Taylor, came out of the courtroom Monday, having accepted the judge's decision, not the one-day sentence, not the probation office's 14-year sentence, but in the middle for those 33 months. They also expressed some disappointment regarding the current DOJ position. And I want to play a little bit of the conversation David had today with a law professor, as I understand it, pertaining what the eventual decision was relating to all this.
It's not surprising, and it makes a lot of sense for the defense team to feel that there is a signal being sent to police departments across the country, as well as here in Louisville, that this Justice Department will not be overseeing, will not be looking at the kinds of conduct the police are engaging in.
And so this was Professor Sam Markison, and he's arguing the case could be unprecedented for the way that the Justice Department is reversing course on the case after Hankison had been convicted by a jury. And so something to keep in mind, as obviously it's still a very fresh sentence and update on the story. We also do know that Hankison is out on bond pending his appeal, so that will be something worth, again, keeping an eye on what the Bureau of Prisons or whoever the ruling authority is to decide where he would, if at all, serve part of that 33-month sentence as it's concerned. Now, of course, another big item from the reporting that we had sent a crew out to document out on Monday morning in downtown was sort of the intrigue that generated from last week's headlines, particularly about the DOJ's recommendation for the one-day sentence. But that drew a crowd of protesters that had kind of gathered right in front of the courthouse along that street corner of Broadway and 6th. But the images, we were able to catch at around 2:30 in the afternoon, sort of setting off the tense series of events. And one of the protesters of 4 that we had confirmed was arrested for blocking traffic outside of the courthouse on Monday. We do know they were in court for arraignment this morning, and I'm just scanning through the details here as I want to show you again some of those images, the video kind of where everything had really escalated. But this is just part of where you could see the traffic trying to move across Broadway was trying to get across, but there was nothing signaling that they couldn't move because the protest had not been scheduled there to actually block traffic. So there you see Robert Taylor standing by that car. He was one of the 4 people arrested Monday. Now, of the 4, all were charged with disorderly conduct and obstructing a highway. The judge had given Robert Taylor a $1,000 bond. Who you saw there earlier was Breonna Taylor's aunt, Bianca Austin. We've learned she's going to face a judge later this week. So that will be something to pay attention to as well. Now, if you remember us breaking into news yesterday at around 2 o'clock near 6th and Broadway, a small group of protesters outside of the sentencing, you see that they blocked traffic, some tense interaction with drivers, and then officers came in to arrest and put them in handcuffs. That is Rosario Matola, who, based on an image, I was seeing play out live, was, kind of grabbing onto Louisville water truck hood, and a similar thing had happened with the red Kia trying to keep going westward on this traffic. But when it comes to Bianca Austin, just an update on information, her arrest slip, as we read it, accused her of, quote, causing a public inconvenience and annoyance within the community. So as whatever plays out in these respective trials, we'll let you know those updates online and on the Wave News app. Okay. So now we're moving to a different story, and this is new coming into the newsroom at around 5 this afternoon. We learned a 21-year-old and 7 teens were arrested after they were caught riding around southern Indiana in a pickup truck full of guns wearing ski masks. That was the information we received from officers. It happened early July 16th. Clarksville police say they pulled over a pickup truck that was recklessly driving on Brown Station Way heading into New Albany. They tell us the 21-year-old was driving the truck, and he was hauling 17 boys, 4 of them lying down in the bed of the truck, all wearing black ski masks over their face. What you're looking at right now is video we've put together of pictures, and these are the guns found that police did during their search, including one they say was taken in a carjacking in Shelbyville. Now, in the list of the different weapons that they confiscated here, police also recovered an AR-15 pistol, 2 BB guns, and 2 more guns. One had a 3D printed frame and an extended magazine on it. None of the guns had any serial numbers that police could find. So the 21-year-old driver, Chris Padillo, is facing several charges, including reckless driving and neglect of a dependent. The 17 boys also were arrested, but these are going to be for several gun charges and possession of marijuana. So that is a story we will continue to follow. Any updates, whenever they're set to appear in front of a judge for arraignment or to plead guilty or not guilty, we will let you know what comes of that as we move forward through the week. And in other headlines, things you probably saw as updates sent to your phones or things we're looking into to start our Tuesday. Big update from the city and from the mayor's office in Metro, from Craig Greenberg, saying today there's going to be a policy change within Louisville Metro Corrections. And the change, the mayor says, it's for Louisville as a city to be put off of what's called the federal sanctuary cities list. Mayor Greenberg saying he talked to leaders within the immigrant community in Louisville before making this decision as far as a policy change. Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Franceschini decided to look into this matter a little further. He says some members of a council that was formed to be advisors to the mayor when it comes to immigrant community needs, they argue that they were not involved in this prior conversation before the mayor made the policy change, and so this is what Fernando learned this afternoon.
Mayor Craig Greenberg says this all revolves around immigration detainers, which he says allow the federal government extra time to take custody of people who have violated immigration policy. He says this used to be the standard at LMDC up until 2017, and now he's bringing it back, hoping it'll get Louisville off the crosshairs of the Trump administration. But some people who are tasked with advising Mayor Greenberg on policy for immigrants tell me they had no idea this change was coming.
This morning I got surprised because I thought I missed some emails, and I look and we didn't receive any notice about it.
Jose Donis is a board member with LUCE Kentucky and a member of the Mayor's International Advisory Council, a group that, according to the city's website, is supposed to advise the mayor on policy, planning, and priorities for immigrants and refugees in Louisville. He says, though, he was shocked to hear about the policy change coming to Metro Corrections.
From our perspective as immigrant communities, we are concerned.
In a statement to Wave News, the executive director of LUCE Kentucky, who is also a member of the mayor's council, says she too was left out of the conversation, saying Mayor Greenberg, quote, excluded the voices of grassroots leaders who work daily with the people most affected. The mayor's office says leaders who represent the immigrant communities most impacted by this issue were consulted. A spokesperson says that includes some of the International Advisory Council members.
This doesn't feel like we are welcome anymore.
Mayor Greenberg says reinstating the 48-hour immigration detainers will take Louisville off the federal sanctuary cities list. He says the change must happen as soon as possible.
We do not want the National Guard occupying the streets of Louisville. I will not risk the safety of our broader immigrant community.
Mayor Greenberg also says Louisville could lose hundreds of millions of dollars in federal grants if it remains classified as a sanctuary city. Mayor Greenberg says there are less than 100 inmates at Metro Corrections who are charged with crimes and affected by detainers. Reporting in Louisville, Fernando Garcia, Francis Sheeny, Wave News.
And there you have a summary of just some of the headlines moving us through today on this Tuesday on Wave News. Reminder that we have an opportunity to dive into the issues and kind of sink our teeth into more details as we have more time to look into them on Wave News at 11 and throughout the week, of course. So something regarding David's information and all the big stories we're going to look into, of course, as we move forward during the week. So we're going to take a quick break on Wave Extra. Going to dive into a bit of an update for JCPS parents, especially when it comes to the kids' transportation, getting to and from school. Just going to share some of those details we got from the district today to share with you. And for anyone who, of course, has been with us on Wave Extra, kind of following now the chapters after the guilty verdicts for the 2 trials involving Crystal Rogers' disappearance and presumed death, just hearing from another relative, another member of her family, about why they feel the search for justice isn't over, especially when it comes to Crystal's dad now, for Tommy Ballard. So you're going to hear that perspective coming up after the break here on Wave Extra. Welcome back as we're coming up on 8:22 on tonight's edition of Wave Extra. So we're going to focus a little bit now on traffic updates and things to help you, of course, find the best route to get where you need to go safely and as timely as possible. So the first one's going to involve another piece of a major infrastructure project for those of you who use all the interstates, the Watterson, the Gene Snyder, I-71. So we're going to focus in on a big update because as we get deeper into tonight, if you have to move around, coming back from work, wherever you may need to go, you're going to have to dodge a pretty key road closure on the Watterson Expressway because there's some work that crews are going to have to start tonight. I want to show you some of those details if we can bring those up. I'll have to bring this portion up. There we go. You get that source for you there. So yeah, an overnight closure tonight, just a heads up. It's already underway, started at 7, but it is going to keep going. So it's going to stay there until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. So just a heads up there. It's part of the $130 million project to improve the Watterson and Brownsboro Road. And to give you an idea, you've been seeing just the ton of construction around the new VA Medical Center. So it all kind of is emanating from that particular part of town. And so eastbound traffic on I-264, you're going to be diverted at exit 22, and because you see there traffic east on the Watterson closed at US 42. So the same overnight closure, again, this is going to be planned for Wednesday and Thursday nights. So just be patient and be warned. This involves widening, upgrades, pavement upgrades on the Watterson, in particular between Westport Road and I-71. We also know crews out there are going to be adding 2 new 2-lane ramps that are supposed to improve traffic flow, reduce the congestion, which if you've joined us before here on Wave Extra, we've discussed with Logan Perrone about just sort of the need for that infrastructure investment updates there, but understanding that with all this demand and all the economic energy that is flowing through there, all of the businesses and all the traffic that's kind of come through, it's been causing some of that, let's say, traffic frustration. But we're going to see, hopefully, as this next part link in the project moves forward and it gets completed and seeing what else is left to do. A reminder, this is a big project that's expected to all be finished, ideally, crews say, by fall of 2027. So we'll see how that plays out in the relative future. Okay, so now switching to school traffic, because we're not quite there to the start of the school year, but we're getting there in the very beginning of August. But JCPS says, looking ahead to the new school year, they are going to have enough bus drivers to cover routes for that first day. And so that way it helps ease surely a lot of parents' minds that their kid will be picked up safely and taken to school in a timely fashion. So this is an update, at least from the Office of Superintendent Dr. Brian Yearwood. He's telling us the district has 609 drivers ready to go. Several more are waiting in the wings, in the pipeline, so to speak. It is a positive development because the district, as we've reported, has been dealing with challenges about an effective transportation plan, just making sure everything can go as smoothly and safely as possible. So parents, per the district, you will be able to see your child's bus number if you didn't know already, and their pickup and drop-off times starting next Monday, July 28th. That is the same day that the district is opening their 485 Ride Transportation Hotline should you have a question, and ideally the staff running the hotline at 485 Ride can answer that. But again, ideally, a positive development in that there would be enough bus drivers also as substitutes in case one can't make it to cover all the routes for that first day of school. All right. Moving now to a story we first shared on Wave News at 11, but want to let everyone joining us on Wave Extra see this because we've talked a lot and covered a lot when it comes to the Crystal Rogers cases. The first of these trials involving Steve Lawson, the second involving 2 men, her then boyfriend Brooks Houck, and Steve Lawson's son Joseph. So this week, actually on Monday night, it marked 2 weeks since Houck and the junior Lawson were convicted. All 3 are waiting to be sentenced next month. But for those who've been following this case closely, the connection between Crystal Rogers and her father, Tommy Ballard, who around that year after she had disappeared, he was shot and killed, and that question still lingers of who could have done this to him. Wave News reporter Alina Noakes has been really our lead in getting to know as much as possible about where Crystal Rogers' family stands as far as justice is concerned, being there in the courtroom to deliver those notes, that evidence, the arguments from attorneys on both sides, and coming out with a decision on those convictions. And she spent some time talking to a member of Crystal Rogers' family. In fact, it was Tommy Ballard's brother, who says overall their journey to justice is far from over.
For years, this spot on Ballard family property has served as a sacred place. This, a memorial to Tommy Ballard and his life, but also a constant reminder of his death and the answers this family still doesn't have.
When I got there, I saw lights on an ambulance, a sheriff's car, and as I got closer, I saw a sheriff deputy in the field.
It's a memory that Mike Ballard will never be able to erase. November 19th, 2016, in a field where there are usually cattle, now covered in police cars and lying on the ground.
I saw a sheet. My brother was covered over, so I knew he was dead.
A November deer hunt with his grandson that started out so normal, when literally out of nowhere, someone shot Tommy in the chest.
The boy heard no gunfire, only Ballard telling him he'd been shot before collapsing.
There was no doubt in my mind. I never thought for 1 second it was an accident.
Ballard's death would eventually be ruled a homicide, and in the family's mind, they believe his death is connected to his daughter's murder. Ballard spent every waking moment looking for his daughter, Crystal Rogers. The Bardstown mother disappeared on the 4th of July weekend in 2015.
We're searching for Crystal again. I mean, we come out every day.
He never stopped looking, never stopped working on it, calling people, writing notes.
He was a dad determined to find his daughter, and the family believes he was getting too close.
I truly believe, again, that the two cases are involved. Tommy wasn't going to give up, and I think he was getting closer and closer, and I think they just thought they had to put an end to it.
They being his daughter's killers, now convicted Joseph and Steve Lawson, Brooks Houck, and perhaps other members of the Houck family. But suspicion and belief are only placeholders in lieu of justice.
The family is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for the murder of Tommy Ballard.
The Ballard family now increasing their reward for information. At this point, they're just waiting for investigators to act. But they're determined they're not going to just sit around and wait.
You want to do something, and you want it out there. You want people to know that, you're not giving up, that you care, and you want other people to care, and they do. This community really cares.
This is not the end for Tommy Ballard. Now with justice for his daughter Crystal, his family believes justice for Tommy is closer than ever. In Nelson County, Alina Noakes, Wave News.
And a reminder, you can not only follow all of Alina's reporting from inside of those trials in the courtroom, but here's, of course, her full report checking in with the Ballard family, any commentary and the documents being unsealed from inside both of the trials. A reminder, you can actually watch the entire 2 trials and the clips we received from those copies and the courtroom cameras. You can watch it in its entirety, not just the trial of Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson, but the earlier one of Stephen Lawson. It is all right here on wave3.com/news/Crystal Rogers. You can also just make sure to hit the news tab right here, and you'll see this section just under the big text where it says news, take you back to where the Crystal Rogers, all of our latest reporting coverage on every twist and turn and reaction, all right there for you to access and look at and read and watch whenever you want. We're going to take a quick break right here on Wave Extra. We'll see you after the commercials. Welcome back, everyone. 8:33 here on Wave Extra. The big breaking news in the world of pop culture, as everyone was kind of, maybe winding their work day down. For those who maybe have grown up on heavy metal, or maybe this was a character, someone they knew from the world of reality TV. We learned the unfortunate news that Ozzy Osbourne passed away today. Apparently he was dealing with kind of a degree of a condition of Parkinson's. So the late, great godfather of heavy metal passing at the age of 76. Wanting to see if this is a video perhaps from one of our partners looking into his life. We're going to see if I can play that for you, if it is, in fact, sort of in memoriam, looking back at his life and career.
He was called the Prince of Darkness. And for half a century, British musician Ozzy Osbourne rocked heavy metal fans worldwide. As frontman for Black Sabbath, Osbourne's charisma and wildness on and off the stage
Had I known it was a real battle, I would never have bitten into it.
transcended music and made him a cultural phenomenon.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Born in Birmingham, England in 1948, John Ozzy Osbourne left school at 15 and found inspiration after hearing the Beatles on the radio.
I can remember the first time I heard She Loves You. That changed my life because I thought, that's what I want to do.
Osbourne became lead vocalist of the band that would become Black Sabbath in 1968 and pioneered a daring, genre-defining new sound. The heavy guitar and riff-based albums Black Sabbath and Paranoid captivated audiences in 1970. As Black Sabbath's fame exploded, so did Osbourne's hell-raising behavior. He was fired from Black Sabbath for drug and alcohol abuse in 1979. Those same issues broke up Osbourne's first marriage and followed him for decades.
Have you been tempted to go back to the drug usage?
All the time. I mean, when you're a drug addict, you don't stop being a drug addict because you stop taking them.
But Sharon Arden, the daughter of Black Sabbath's manager, helped get him back on his feet and encouraged him to go solo. Osbourne's debut single, Crazy Train, got the singer back on the rails. Ozzy and Sharon married in 1982, and Sharon managed his career for the rest of his life. Their love was on full display to an entirely new audience in the 2002 MTV reality series, The Osbournes. Ozzy's dry, at times unintelligible humor and relatable parenting challenges endeared him to millions. And the fly-on-the-wall look at the Osbournes' expletive-laden daily life shot the family to fame. After years of speculation about his health, Osbourne revealed his Parkinson's disease diagnosis in an interview with Good Morning America in 2020. But Osbourne was committed to making more music, and 3 years later, he won 2 Grammys for his album Patient Number 9, bringing his Grammy total to 5. Osbourne reunited with his bandmates over the years.
Is this the end of...
to record their last album, 13, and for Black Sabbath's final The End concert tour in 2016. Osbourne made over 20 albums and is among the elite group inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. From Prince of Darkness to reality TV show Dad, Ozzy Osbourne was a man, a myth, and a legend.
Certainly a life that left quite an impression for those who followed his music and his later antics raising his family. And so there's actually a bit of a connection, and obviously the music that Ozzy had made a difference culturally and leaving that impression on listeners here in Wave Country. But so much so that we're hearing of the millions, the myriad of tributes that are being put out there tonight. We saw on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, people leaving flowers on his star, from the West Coast to out here in our neck of the woods. doctors with Norton Healthcare in Louisville. So this is the perspective, thinking back to Ozzy's contributions, praising him actually for being transparent when it came to sharing his diagnosis about his treatment and his battle with Parkinson's disease. In fact, you saw the snippet where he talked about revealing that diagnosis on Good Morning America. We learned, unfortunately, the condition progressed so much by this February he wasn't able to walk. This is a comment from the team at Norton talking about what it means for someone like him to have discussed, confronting the challenge and still living the rest of his life as best as he could.
It's always terrible that someone is, suffering from this horrible disease, but it does help to bring it to the public attention that it can affect anyone, right? So this disease doesn't have any preference for the amount of celebrity you have or the amount of money you can have, and you can't buy it away.
That was Dr. Justin Phillips from Norton Neuroscience Institute. In fact, there's also a special connection, and in fact, I'm actually going to pause that video really quick there. The reason is Ozzy formed a special relationship with the Louisville Leopard percussionists, and the date back to this, their version of Crazy Train, Ozzy's classic, back then it actually went viral. And so in 2018, if you might remember, Osbourne then invited the Leopards down to Nashville to perform at a private concert for the TV show Ozzy and Jack's World Detour. So even from wherever Ozzy was, having crossed the ocean from Birmingham and making that connection with this Louisville band, loving his music and him loving their energy and their contribution as they put their spin on his classic Crazy Train. That's a very fitting picture that music, moved them, and it moved Ozzy for sure. All right, everyone, I think that's going to do it for us tonight on Wave Extra. Make sure to tune in, of course, to Wave News at 11. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned letting you know what's in store as we keep moving through this week. We're feeling the humidity, we're feeling the heat if you spend more time outside, but we're keeping track of what more storm chances we have. When's that heat maybe going to dissipate? How long is it going to stick around with us? So Kevin's going to have an outlook for tomorrow. Of course, in the 10-day forecast, Logan Perone looking into his own investigation for you tonight as well, and much more that you can join us tonight on 11 o'clock. A reminder, the usual ways to connect with us online, wave3.com, through all the different social media channels here on the Wave Now, in the Wave Now studio, of course, so the Wave Now channel on your Fire Roku smart app device on your TV. Always appreciate that ability to spend some time with you all tonight. That's going to do it for us. I'm Jose Sosaya. Until then, everyone, take care. We will see you tomorrow.